Welcome to the latest edition of Saving Mother Ocean. I am Steve Andrews. I wrote Saving Mother Ocean, and every edition of this show, I talk to activists, and activists come from many different walks of life. There is a lot of action that needs doing in the world today. This time, I'm absolutely delighted to have with me Andreas Noe, the trash traveler. Andreas, perhaps you could explain, because I know a lot about you, but the viewers don't. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your story, where you're coming from and what you're doing. Andreas, over to you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Very nice to meet you here in this podcast. Thanks for the invitation. So I'm a biologist, molecular biologist from Germany. And 6 years ago, I came for my PhD to Portugal, wanting to proceed with my biomedical career. But I was confronted by a lot of plastic at the beaches. I was surfing all the time in my free time, and sometimes in winter. It was very sad because you're even surfing in plastic. So I decided actually to turn around 180 degrees and go away from my biomedical career, quit my job to raise awareness about environmental issues, mainly plastic pollution of the oceans, but not only in just like a boring way. I wanted to raise awareness with positivity, with creativity, and with some crazy approaches to open eyes of the people. And so I tried all my luck with my trash ukulele, singing some trashy songs. And that's 3.5 years afterwards. It's a wonderful project, and I didn't know where it ends up. And I never had a plan. I just wanted to start to act in some way, and I think it developed in a very nice way.
Well, thank you for that. And I know that you've actually done a tremendous amount of work here in Portugal, and perhaps, you can tell us a bit about what you have actually done, because it's amazing. It's not surprising that you're known as the trash traveler, because you've done it. People talk about taking action. The action you've taken has been absolutely incredible. So the first thing is, the butt hike. Can you tell the viewers about the butt hike? What did that involve?
The butt hike is not even the first one. I don't know if you know. Shall I start from the beginning or from the butt hike?
Start from the beginning. It's good to go back to the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning. So I quit my job, and then I said, okay, for half a year, I just travel around Portugal to create videos and songs about what I just collected at the beach. So every day I went to the beach and collected some trash and got inspired by the trash. And I sang, for example, a song like this: "Be sharp, don't kill the baby shark. Be clean, don't kill the baby dolphin. Littering and polluting ain't okay. Think of the baby manta ray." So I created all those funny little songs that stick into your mind, and I was doing that for half a year. And then after this half a year, I thought, raising awareness on social media is nice, but it's not reaching so many people. It's always like reaching the same people in the same hashtag bubble, and like people who already care. So I thought, okay, how can we actually reach more people? So I thought, okay, I need to do something crazy. And then the plastic hike came to my mind. I woke up and thought, hey, I want to walk the entire coast of Portugal in 2 months without a break day, every day on sand, as close as possible to the ocean, picking up plastic every day and asking the community in Portugal to join. So it went 58 days. Crazily, my muscles were absolutely dead, and my feet didn't want to carry me across the sand anymore. And on top of that, I met already 600 people that came to the beach, and a lot of NGOs and environmentalists along the coast to pick up 1.6 tons of plastic. But the main message was actually doing something crazy to grab the attention of media to cover the story, to spread it to so many other people. And this was a success, a beautiful, positive success of people coming together, joining forces, raising awareness about plastic pollution all together. And that was my first adventure, doing something crazy, opening eyes of the people. Always like with something crazy and positive, with my ukulele, singing and dancing with people at the beach, to create a movement, maybe, of people who care. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I just that sounds absolutely amazing, and because what's happening there is you're inspiring other people to get involved, which is what we need, and as you also said, in a fun way, which is fantastic. And so, where did you go from there? What was your next
the next
example of some action you took?
Yeah, so the next step was actually to understand, okay, these adventures are actually reaching a lot of people, and all the TV and main media channels in Portugal grabbing that story. So I decided a year after, okay, let's do something further. Let's actually make a project about how our little acts matter, and that little acts are actually good and bad if we all come together. It's so many people on this world. So I created the butt hike, and the butt hike is basically collecting cigarette butts all over the country. We went 2 months along the coast of Portugal, not only on city beaches, but also in cities inside, to show basically like our acts far away from the ocean have an impact, because the cigarette butts, dropping them on the floor, going into the drain system, leaching into the ocean with all the plastic and all the toxins. So the little acts matter, and we managed to reach, with 600 people, picked up 1.1 million cigarette butts in just 2 months, which was a crazy cigarette butt mountain, almost the height of a 12-year-old kid. She was not looking on top of that mountain, and it was in crazy pictures with a crazy impact, to show actually if we all come together, we can reach a lot. And just one little cigarette butt is not only one cigarette butt, because we are so many people.
Well, that is absolutely amazing, and I know because I recently got involved with your most recent project, which was, I think we're calling it the world's biggest cigarette butt pickup, and I know a lot about how important it is to get rid of these cigarette butts, because they are all over the place, and that was a great success. But the one question I wanted to ask you, which we haven't covered yet, is how did you actually get the name The Trash Traveler? It's a very good name, and it's memorable. We're all going to remember The Trash Traveler.
Yeah.
Well, did you come up with it yourself?
So actually, it starts from the beginning. What I liked in my German classes back in schools was like interpreting poems, and so you always had to analyze poems from back in the days. And I always liked the is it in English as well, alliterations? So like T. No, like I always like to start with the same. So it needed to have some alliteration. And I was traveling. I was picking up trash all the time, and so it somehow needed to fit together. And in this little wording, all my project and all my life right now is basically just like explained with the name. It's The Trash Traveler.
Well, like I said, it's a very memorable name, and it's you. It's incredible what you do, and also you're inspiring others. Others of us out here to be having a go at picking up the trash as well. And it's something that I think is quite easy. Every day, wherever any of us go, we're going to find some trash. And as you also said, like little bits can, that they add up. Yeah. So if everybody every day is picking up some of the trash, we're going to get the trash down. And so I think it's just incredible work, and something that we need to do, and we need to think about, and we need to take action, which is what you do to
Exactly. And I think like especially the cigarette butt project, because it's not only about cleaning. I have a little song. It's not about cleaning. Please refuse to sing or use for the sake of the ocean. Yeah, it's not about cleaning. We got to stop the plastic's motion into the ocean. So it's not about cleaning. And these little cigarette butts, like, make us basically connect to what is right and what is wrong. No, it's such a simple act in the good and in the bad. So that's what I want to use this project a little bit also for. Like, our little acts like have like a huge massive impact. And if we just start with acting, like start getting up the couch with just picking up one butt, we start connecting to nature. In the end, we understand more about environmental issues, more about the ocean, more about the climate. So we start with a little act that is so easy to do, and we start to connect with such a complex climate crisis. We're ending up like taking action for something bigger, and it's just like how easy we grab the attention from those people who do not care, and how easy to demonstrate it is, like, to come together. And that's basically the main focus of this project, to create a movement, to start little, but to end up like all together, to care for our planet. Yeah.
Well, I can really understand that, because I mean, for me, I'm a naturalist. I've been a naturalist since I was a little boy. I love nature, and so I look at nature, and I see things going wrong with nature. It upsets me, and I see plastic all over the place in nature. This, to me, is wrong. It shouldn't be there. We shouldn't have plastic in nature. We shouldn't have bottles. We shouldn't have cans. All these things. So that was what kind of got me started. You know, it motivated me to say, you know, I got to do something about it. I got to take some kind of action. And so I wrote a song, which you know about. But the other thing is that, and how I think, like if I go for a walk, for example, if I went for a walk over in this place, which is behind me, if I see something that shouldn't be there, you know, I think, oh, there's a bottle cap, or there's a bottle, or there's a bag. These things shouldn't be there. A flower should be there. A beetle should be there. Some grass should be. All these things, they should be there, but not all the plastic and all the other rubbish. So I tend to think about. I like to think maybe like one day we can get it like it used to be, like when we didn't have all this rubbish thrown in there. So that's how I think. And the next thing that I was going to ask you was that we were both actually delegates at the World Oceans Summit earlier this year. And I don't know how many of these events you've been to. I've been to a few, but I always wonder, like, what do you actually think? Do you think they really make any difference? You know, because we all around the world, we're having all these different summits and conferences and things. But do you think they actually make much difference? Or are they just blah, 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 as Greta Thunberg would say? Are they people just talking a lot of whatever? Do we actually get any real action, any results coming about because of all the summits that the people are holding? What do you think?
Okay, super question. So first of all, coming back, like I totally share with you that all the trash shouldn't be there, and like there should be flowers, and like singing songs about you and about it. It's like we share the same passion. And yeah, about all those summits and all those conferences, it's very controversial to think about it. A lot of it is blah blah blah, but as we all like talk about it, and even if it's a lot of blah blah blah, even if there's a lot of greenwashing out there from companies, from politicians, at least like if you see it in the last 10, 20, 30 years, like it's increasing how much people talk about it. So you have like a percentage of people who really believe in it and who really want to do something. And then you have those who need to jump on that boat to make blah, 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 but at least they need to go like with it. We know that it's not going as quick as it should be because the state of our climate and of our ocean is alarming. And so in fact, like it's not reaching enough, and it's a lot of blah, blah, blah. However, I want to see always, like with me, with my person and with my project, I want to see also the positive sides of it, and especially the Ocean Summit. You know, we connected, we met each other, we had a beautiful connection. We had this idea, you had this idea, and brought it to me, like to say, hey, let's do this festival about coming all together and protecting the ocean. This is just like a little example of how the networking around those events also facilitate solutions. And even if those main speakers, maybe, I don't know if that is blah, blah, blah or not. And I don't want to just rely on that. But I see so many other people around there really taking action, inventing solutions, startups, trying to do solutions, to invent solutions in many different ways, from kelp forests to some weird crypto, what I don't understand, but crypto projects to try to raise funds for the good. You know, all those connections that are made around that actually makes me believe, hey, we really can do something, because it comes back to what we had so many people trying to do. If there's so many others who are actually making blah blah blah, still there's a lot of movement into the right direction. That's what I want to believe in. Yeah.
Well, I think on the whole, I would agree with you. I think that, you know, all these summits are having a positive effect, because they are getting people to, if nothing else, to know more about what's happening and what is being done as well. And also the networking is important. And like you pointed out, we actually met, you know, at that particular summit. And what I'm going to come to now is your most recent project, the one that I was involved in, the world's biggest cigarette butt pickup. How many cigarette butts did you actually collect at the end? What was the total? I know, like, I heard a total, but I don't know. I heard somewhere that there were more that had been collected elsewhere here that we're going to hopefully all get to that big pile eventually, and you would have a grand total. Has it gone up from 650,000?
It has actually. So this project, just to explain to our listeners, it was the world's biggest butt pickup. But it's also a little bit of a marketing trick to get people involved. And I don't care how many butts we pick up, because it's not about like how the number. It's incredible high, and 4.5 trillion cigarette butts getting thrown on the ground every year, like around the world. So like this is like an incredible amount of butts. And so in 1 week we tried to pick up as many as possible, and we reached on our final day 650,000. However, like, all the people in whole Portugal were basically picking butts. So like in the south, in the north, people were picking, in some little villages, on the Azores, on island, people were picking, and it were involved like schools, municipalities, like NGOs, just random families. And that was beautiful, that so many people from so diverse backgrounds were joining this project. And that made it also difficult to actually send all those cigarette butts to our final, to Lisbon. So we're all within just 1 week, and people made it possible to bring it still 650,000 to the main place in Lisbon to pile that up. But then it continued. That was so beautiful already, and you were there. And thank you, Steve, for also picking up like a huge bottle of butts in your area. I appreciate that so much. And people were coming afterwards and sending emails and messages. Hey, sorry, we didn't manage it to the final. We were busy and we didn't know how to bring the cigarette butts. So in the last week, I was counting all those rest butts. So we ended up with 750,000 cigarette butts, and counted that in the week afterwards. That was very beautiful that we reached that number. I think for next year, we have a new number to top, which is actually reaching 1 million cigarette butts. And that's a shout out.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can count me in on it. You know, I will be helping with the next butt pickup. And I found it actually a really interesting experience picking them up, because I knew it was bad. I knew there were a lot out there, but when I'm actually kind of focused on picking them up, then I find out kind of how bad it is, and it's kind of it's a lot more out there than what I thought,
Yeah.
and your eye gets kind of trained, and it's still like it. So when I go out now, I'm thinking, there's a, you start seeing them like everywhere they are. So as I say, definitely I will be helping with the next one. And what I wanted to ask now is, what do you have any other projects kind of about to take off, or, what are your plans, from now?
Yeah. Okay, phew, my brain is full with things. So on Saturday we just premiered a documentary movie about our last adventure, where I was cycling all around Portugal with a bike built out of just secondhand bike parts. So this documentary movie is out now, and I'm going into schools, I'm going on festivals to show this documentary, and also to talk about circular economy, about taking care of our ocean and inspiring people. So for the summer, I'm making cigarette butt exhibitions around the country with all the butts we collected in public spaces. And I'm giving talks, I'm singing some songs, but I'm also planning to do a new awareness adventure. However, I can't yet tell so much about it, because I don't know when I'm gonna start, and who all is involved in there. So you have to wait a little bit. But until then, we sing some songs and raise awareness with documentaries and art pieces. Yeah.
Okay, Andreas, thank you for explaining about the projects you got on the go, and you mentioned singing some songs, and I think it'd be like a really good idea if maybe you could like finish with a song, and and the other thing is, before we finish with a song, if you could kind of tell us how we can get hold of you, how can people find you. That's probably quite easy. Probably just Google the Trash Traveler. We're going to find you. But if you want to tell us any particular sites or anything, or if you've got any message that you just like to put out there for everybody watching this, please go for it. And now give us a song.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Steve, for having me here. Thank you for listening. You can find it under the Trash Traveler in all social medias, or on my website, thetrashtraveler.org. And Trash Traveler with one L. People tend to always use it with two L's. And yeah, you can find my contact details there. If you want to do any documentary screening or anything else, feel free to contact me. And I'm finishing with which song? Which song? Okay, I think a song that was rarely played, actually. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check. I am a shark. I am a shark. Killing 6 humans a year accidentally to give a spark. Who's not so smart? Humanity kills 100 million of us stupidly. I'm a shark. I am a shark. Killing 6 humans a year accidentally to give a spark. Who's not so smart? Humanity kills 100 million of us stupidly. Save the sharks. Save the sharks. Yeah. Save the sharks. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you so much for coming on the show, joining me today on Saving Mother Ocean. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
So let's thank both of you for your time today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day, and stay safe in our cruel world. I do have an interesting question. It's something I read the other day with regards to this mess that's floating around in the ocean right now, and the activists have been looking at it. It's been there for so long that it's actually developing its own ecosystem in some respects. How are you guys going to address that? I mean, it needs to get cleaned up. It's a mess. It's polluting our oceans, but now it's actually affecting change, which Mother Earth is really good at doing. It adapts. I mean, back when dinosaurs roamed the Earth, our oxygen levels were so high that you and I and other humans couldn't have survived because it was too much oxygen. Our heads would explode. Now, dinosaurs could never roam the Earth because the oxygen is too light. I mean, yeah. Now we have an oceans that have been polluted by us idiots with these massive floating plastic whatevers, and we've got entire ecosystems inside them. So if we start ripping this stuff apart, we're going to start destroying what we inadvertently create. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're reaching a conundrum here. What's your thought on that?
Well, like that ecosystems are adapting. That's what Mother Nature is always has proven us, and also proved actually that the world doesn't need us humans. That's in the end the conclusion of everything, because we will eradicate our base to live, but the planet will live further and will adapt. That's the world going under scenario, and that species, we even find it here at the beach, like shells are actually attaching on some plastics because they can adapt in a very nice way to it. They just adapt, and we even have here in Tasia River, we have big seahorses that grab and hold on trash what they find underneath. So now you have to make the balance. Is the trash actually, like, species can always adapt, but how much is this trash and this plastic interfering with the ecosystems? And if you think about ecosystem adapting, but if you think about that, actually every animal that is being found stranded, or every bird has a kind of plastic into their belly, and plastic is actually the major source of death for a lot of animals, then you can make the balance that it's not at all a way of having like this ecosystem not being out there. And sometimes it's really a balance. Are we interfering by removing trash? But in fact, actually, like if you go further and further, the threat of all the plastic breaking down to microplastic, entering the food chain, and destroying so much life around there, that's super alarming, and that's why it's interesting to think about it, but in the end it's nothing that we should rely on.
Well, I agree. I mean, should we have it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, Andreas, I agree with you with what you were talking about there, and I think that, you know, if we don't do anything about it, like, we are going to lose a lot of creatures that people love. Like, you were saying that, the animals that are dead, you do the autopsy and you find plastic inside them. Like all the whales are being found plastic inside them, and so I think the number of species we'd lose would kind of outweigh the number of species which are adapting. But one of the species which is adapted, and I remember thinking about this some years ago, was the goose barnacle. The goose barnacle actually appreciates plastic waste in the sea, because it fixes itself to the plastic waste, and it then gets like swept around the ocean. So it's extending its range, and I think there's quite a few creatures are doing that. So some species, they don't mind the plastic. It gives them a way of traveling. But I think on the whole, it's a bad thing, because it's taking out too many I'll say bigger creatures, like the whales and the turtles and a lot of the big stuff. They can't cope with eating plastic.
And it's all about a lot about these tipping points. No, in the climate crisis, we have tipping points. In also the plastic crisis, like you have in the food chain, like a food chain is important with all the predators and all the small species. And if you take one part away, then the whole ecosystem is basically collapsing. So it's like if you have some adapting, but like others can't, and other like bigger animals who are actually feeding on those small animals, who are ingesting them and who are dying from it, that is a very, very sad scenario, because then the whole ecosystem ocean would collapse. And that would mean, in the end, if the ocean collapses, climate collapses as well. So, like these things are building up on the vast, massive ecosystem that we are having. And if you consider a small local ecosystem and having species adapting, that's one hand. But if you see the massive ecosystem of the one ocean, that's then alarming. That's like on the wider picture. Yeah.
I understand that these massive floating plastic islands, there's one, North Atlantic, North Pacific, South Atlantic, South Pacific. There's one in each one. Is that correct?
There are 5. That's right. Yeah.
So wow, and they're pretty large. So you know, it would, and the thought occurred to me. Now I'm putting on my rose-colored glasses again, but the thought occurred to me that it would be really nice that instead of us sending ships out to blow the hell out of somebody else, that they'd stop over and pick up a couple of ton. You know, you got whaling ships out there that can bring on, how much is an average blue whale or sperm whale weigh? You know what, 60 tons, 70 tons? I'm not sure what it is. But
A lot.
yeah, I mean, how quick can they process that thing from full animal down to, you know, canned tuna? I don't know, but yeah, they can bring this big wide open space, you know, plow into it, drag this crap in, chop. Okay, we got that much done. What if they did that 10 times a week?
Yeah, we have, like, there's an NGO doing that with huge funding. It's called the Ocean Cleanup. However, I think it's very dangerous because it's not tackling the root cause. We can't just like take it all and take it out. So first we have plastic that also sinks to other spheres, not only to the surface. You can't just like take that out. You have even plastics that's sinking to the ground. So you can take like out like a lot. But you will always like be able to catch a drop, even if you have boats and boats like going out there every day and every day, because the ocean is just too big for us to cover. And if you just take like some numbers into account, like you make right now with the calculation how many kilos, it's very I need to calculate it by myself, but more than 8 million tons of plastic enter the ocean every year worldwide. 8 million tons now. Like, there was a number from 2019, I think. Now it's just increasing and increasing, and there are other numbers with 12 million tons. So if you think about that, like, it's cleaning is important and we need to catch that, but it's just not feasible. We need to tackle the root source to first, like, not having the plastic entering the ocean, but even further, not producing so much plastic. Do you know? So we need to have system in place, because where this all ocean plastic starts is actually in our supermarkets and in the excess of plastic that is getting produced. And this amount of plastic that is produced every day around the world, it's just increasing the next couple of decades. There's no sign that it's decreasing. And our waste systems are just not able to handle all that waste and all that plastic. Plastic gets shipped around the world, from US to Asia, from Europe to Asia or to African countries, where we overload waste systems, and those plastics are leaching into the ocean. So the root cause needs to be tackled. Sure, we need to try to catch as much as possible from the ocean, but we can only catch a drop of the plastic in the ocean if we think about like a massive tons are actually entering the ocean every year. Then we understand it's not about cleaning, it's actually about tackling the root cause of this plastic crisis in actually producing so much plastic every day.
Oh, here now.
Yeah, Andreas, I agree with you again there, and you know, I mean, you know, we both know a whole lot of the plastic actually sinks. There's plastic in the deep sea, like on, you know, areas which haven't even been explored by people. You know, how can you get all the plastic out from down there? You can't. How can you deal with all the microplastics? The microplastics and nanoplastics are being created constantly. It's just impossible. You can't even see them. You know, how do you get all the? There's no way, no feasible way at all that anybody ever could get all of the microplastics out of the environment. It can't be done. And Steve,
I'm thinking about this. When did this actually start? This, I mean, because plastics were not. I mean, Bakelite. Ouch. Bakelite. The first phones, meters, radios, and so forth was made out of Bakelite, which is a form of plastic, but that was back in the 1950s. So you're telling me we got these massive islands that have been created since the 60s?
Steve, I'm telling you,
clean.
Yeah, like it's crazy. You don't. I was walking the coast of Portugal. You don't find a single beach without a piece of plastic. It's not possible. In such a short time, you find at every, even remote beaches, everything is full with plastic. And that's Portugal, where we say actually this is civilized, and we don't have like these waste problems. So it's actually a developed country, and still we have this problem. So just think about that. We have in the Arctic ice, we find microplastics integrated into the ice in just such a short amount of time. It's alarming. It's crazy.
You're talking 40 years this happened in.
Exactly. 40 years we messed up the whole world.
Well, another plan well done.
That's just the beginning. Yeah, I would say so too.
Certainly.
Well done, humanity.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing that hit me when, why I wrote my song, why I'm involved in all this. Like, once you start to look, you find out more and more and more. And if you thought it was bad to start with, eventually it's, is this real? It's mind-boggling, the size of the scale of all of this.
I remember working somewhere once. Out of self-preservation, I won't mention the name, but we're working somewhere and things just start going wrong. And at one point, it was raining, and a guy, for reasons best known by himself, decided to back a cement mixer truck out over plywood that was laying on top of mud. And it was kind of cool to watch the cement truck go, blah, 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 blah. And that's where it sat for 2 weeks. Okay, and as we watch it go down, the foreman he goes, how can we, and he used the explicitive, which I don't, he goes, how can we F this up even more, right? And so here we are looking at, from the 1960s, 50 years, 40 years, we've managed to saran wrap the planet Earth. That's really efficient. Idiots.
It's really efficient destroying. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, and in the end, we can just laugh about it because it's such a crazy thing.
1960 or thereabouts. Okay, everything was made in wood. I remember my father told me his neighbor bought a new woody station wagon, gets it home, rips all the wood off the outside. They said it looked better in the box. So, no one got that. But the wood's on the outside, they thought was the box they took. Okay.
Yeah.
Dumb American humor. Okay, so anyway, but yeah, there was no plastic. Cars were all chrome and metal, and today a car catches on fire, it doesn't burn, it melts.
No,
exactly.
In something like, I always think about seats. Like, a lot of seats are made of plastic these days,
Well, your clothing
seats used to be made of metal or wood, and now we have all these seats.
Clothes, everything. Plastic is everywhere.
That's right. It's everywhere.
A place I used to work at, a guy was wearing a pair of jeans and a denim and a shirt, and he picks up a glass bottle of chemicals, and a bottom broke out of the glass bottle. And it goes down his front, and it just melted everything. And this poor guy dove into an emergency shower, which is all cold water. He's washing, and this stuff is melting his clothing, and wasn't doing any good to his skin either. But it's just amazing that your clothing melts. All right,
plastic.
If you would have, I had a radiator blow up in my face when I was a teen. And I had cotton on, and the cotton protected me. It was cotton. It was real material. If it would have been this, it was stuck to me, and then I would have had a third-degree burn. Okay, so this is a great after show, and I'd like to, Steve, with you and Andre's permission, I'm going to include this in our.
Absolutely. I was just thinking this discussion we're having here is some serious stuff going down here, which is, which is great. Maybe we should. I was just thinking, maybe we should have you included, Steve. Like, a separate show. That,
I'm going to do a little stuff with this, but I'm going to include this, and I'm going to wrap it up here because I do have some other things to take.
All right. Okay.
This was a fantastic discussion. Andre, it was great. The Trash Traveler here on Saving Mother Ocean. Okay, along with Steve Andrews. I'm Stephen Jones with Rock in the Valley here out of the United States, and we really thank everybody here for joining you, and you got a chance to see my wreck of a studio, my keyboards. Join us here throughout the week, and we have a very big entourage of videos here on our YouTube channel. lots of music, lots of cool things, and also, wait a minute, pointing the wrong way. Over here. Well, you never know which way this camera's going. Anyway, but Steve Andrews here. Good friend. I met him. Well, when did I meet you? Sometime last year.
Sometime last year. Yeah, wake up, rise up.
Wake up, rise up to peace.
Wake up, rise up, live for peace. And I'm doing it again.
I don't know. Are you? Are
yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm doing it again. I'm on one of the children's stages this time.
Are you? Okay. Well, I'm working on the broadcast end with Sean. So yeah, we're gonna be there again. Wake up, rise up. The global concert for peace. That would be nice to have right now. Peace and clean oceans. I think it'd be kind of cool. You know.
Right.
It's kind of scary. Every now and then, I wonder if I'm going to wake up with a unexploded missile in my front yard. Why they would target me, I don't know. Maybe my bad humor, but that's it, gentlemen. Andreas, Steve, thanks for coming on Rockin' the Valley here and on Saving Mother Ocean. Thank you, sirs, and we'll be seeing you again by the sea. So, thank you.
Nice. Thank you very much,
Stephen Jones.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much.
So, good night, all.